On September 4, 2025, the small town of Elabelle, Georgia, found itself at the center of a dramatic turning point in American industrial policy, one that would reverberate far beyond its borders and reshape the national conversation about the future of manufacturing in the United States. At Hyundai's sprawling new EV battery plant, nearly 500 workers, most of them South Korean nationals, were detained in what quickly became the largest immigration enforcement action ever carried out at a single site in U.S. history. The scale and speed of the operation stunned both local residents and industry insiders. This was no accident. The raid was a calculated move by President Trump's administration, designed to send a powerful message about a new, uncompromising approach to both immigration and foreign investment. The White House made it clear, the rules of engagement for global companies operating on American soil had changed. The administration's push for a manufacturing renaissance now collided head-on with its America First agenda, demanding strict adherence to U.S. labor and immigration laws. For many, this marked a new era, one where economic growth and national security would be tightly intertwined. The raid sent shockwaves through the auto industry, abruptly halting Hyundai's production timeline and raising urgent questions about the future of foreign investment in American manufacturing. Executives scrambled to assess the damage while workers and their families faced an uncertain future. For decades, the U.S. has actively courted foreign automakers, offering incentives and promising stability. But this unprecedented crackdown has shaken the very foundation of those partnerships, leaving international investors wary and American communities anxious about what comes next. With skilled labor shortages already plaguing the industry, the raid exposed the deep tension between ambitious policy goals and the economic realities on the ground. Companies now face a difficult balancing act: comply with stricter regulations while still meeting production demands and workforce needs. As of October 17, 2025, the message from Washington is unmistakable. Reindustrializing America under these new, tougher rules will be turbulent, controversial, and consequential. The stakes for the work is consequent and entire communities have never been higher. The path forward is anything but certain, and the choices made now will shape the future of American industry for years to come. Hyundai's rise in America began decades ago, evolving from exporting affordable cars to a market hungry for value and reliability. In the 1980s and 90s, Hyundai's compact sedans and hatchbacks offered American families a new, budget-friendly choice, helping the brand gain a foothold in a fiercely competitive industry. Over time, Hyundai shifted its strategy from simply shipping cars overseas to building them on U.S. soil, investing in local manufacturing and American workers. The 2005 opening of its Alabama plant was a turning point, creating thousands of jobs and cementing Hyundai's American presence. It marked the start of a new era, with Hyundai becoming a true part of the U.S. auto landscape. Beyond economics, Hyundai's investments fostered U.S.-Korea ties and offered stability for long-term planning. The company's commitment went beyond profits, building trust and collaboration between the two nations. The global shift to electric vehicles prompted Hyundai to announce a $26 billion investment in Georgia, aiming to localize its entire EV supply chain. This bold move positioned Hyundai at the forefront of America's clean energy transition. Appointing Jose Munoz, its first non-Korean CEO, signaled Hyundai's commitment to adapting for the U.S. market. His leadership brought fresh perspective and a deeper understanding of American consumers. The goal: produce 80% of vehicles sold in America locally by 2030, up from just 40% today. This ambitious target reflects Hyundai's confidence in its American operations and workforce. This strategy was designed to shield Hyundai from trade disputes, tariffs, and global supply chain disruptions that have challenged automakers worldwide. It also aimed to align with the growing "Made in America" sentiment, appealing to both policymakers and consumers who value domestic production. But as Hyundai doubled down, Washington's policies shifted even more aggressively, introducing new incentives and regulations that changed the rules of the game. The company's proactive approach soon collided with a new, unpredictable political reality, forcing Hyundai to adapt yet again to stay ahead. The stakes for Hyundai, and for U.S. manufacturing, have never been higher, as the future of the auto industry is being shaped right now on American soil. President Trump's return in 2025 upended U.S. trade policy, especially for automakers. Scrapping the U.S.-Korea Free Trade Agreement, he imposed a 25% tariff on South Korean auto imports, making U.S. production a necessity for Hyundai. The administration paired tariffs with incentives for foreign companies to build and hire in America, but only if they prioritized American workers. The White House also cracked down on companies using foreign labor, targeting those seen as exploiting immigration loopholes. For Hyundai, this meant walking a tightrope, investing billions in U.S. manufacturing while needing specialized expertise from South Korea. The administration's hardline stance made even temporary use of foreign technicians a risky proposition. The message: comply fully with America First labor rules, or risk your entire investment. The stakes for global automakers have never been more precarious. The ICE raid at Hyundai's Georgia site was swift, overwhelming, and meticulously coordinated. Agents moved in with precision, their presence unmistakable as they converged on the sprawling construction grounds. Before sunrise, agents sealed off every entrance and exit, establishing checkpoints and scrutinizing every worker's identification. In a matter of hours, 475 workers were detained, most of them South Koreans on tourist visas, not direct Hyundai employees, but subcontractors hired through layers of agencies. Hyundai insisted it had complied with all U.S. laws and regulations, emphasizing its reliance on third-party contractors. But the administration was unyielding, holding Hyundai accountable for every link in its vast supply chain, regardless of intent or awareness. The aftermath was chaos. Detained workers faced uncertain futures, families were left in limbo, and the South Korean government urgently intervened, seeking answers and support for its citizens. Construction ground to a halt, leaving a vacuum of skilled labor and plunging the multi-billion-dollar project into crisis. The site, once bustling, now stood eerily silent. Hyundai scrambled to manage the fallout, reaffirming its commitment to U.S. investment and local jobs, but now facing a storm of legal, political, and logistical turmoil that threatened its reputation and bottom line. The incident exposed the hidden risks and vulnerabilities of complex subcontractor networks for foreign firms operating in America, where oversight can be difficult and accountability is absolute. In Trump's America, plausible deniability is no longer a defense. Companies are expected to know and control every aspect of their operations, no matter how many degrees removed. The administration made its position clear: ultimate responsibility lies at the top, and ignorance is not an excuse. The lesson for global investors was unmistakable. In this new era of enforcement, due diligence is not just recommended, it's essential for survival. The Hyundai raid struck at the heart of America's labor crisis, especially in construction and manufacturing. In Georgia, 43% of construction workers are foreign-born, and 92% of firms report trouble finding qualified hires. The detained workers had specialized skills, not easily replaced by American labor. The crackdown worsened existing shortages, delaying projects and driving up costs. Tariffs on materials like steel and aluminum had already inflated construction expenses. Now companies must pay higher wages to attract scarce domestic talent, further straining budgets. For Hyundai, every day of delay means millions in lost revenue and mounting costs. The dual pressures of tariffs and labor scarcity threaten to stall America's manufacturing revival. The administration's policies are raising costs and slowing progress nationwide. The Georgia raid sent shockwaves through the global investment community. The U.S., once the world's safest destination for foreign capital, now appears unpredictable and risky. The timing was jarring, coming just after South Korean firms pledged $150 billion in new U.S. investments. The raid created a sense of policy whiplash, suggesting even compliant investors could be targeted. Experts warn this could chill future investment, undermining America's green transition and industrial ambition. We're desan GND yakshur. U.S. needs foreign capital and expertise, but inconsistent enforcement risks driving it away. Reports of Trump pressuring South Korea to deposit $350 billion in U.S.-controlled funds only add to investor anxiety. Foreign companies now question whether the U.S. is a reliable partner or a transactional enforcer. The uncertainty threatens America's manufacturing renaissance at its core. The world is watching and reconsidering. Experts agree, the administration's America First policy is riddled with contradictions. The auto industry's shift to EVs demands specialized skills, many of which are held by foreign workers. The raid forces automakers to rethink workforce strategies and compliance, but the U.S. lacks enough trained domestic talent. Labor shortages, compounded by tariffs, risk stagflation, slower growth, and higher prices. Mark Zandi of Moody's warns these policies create economic headwinds and deter long-term investment. the US must balance tough trade protection with openness to foreign capital and know-how. The Hyundai raid suggests immigration crackdowns are taking precedence over industrial growth. Experts fear this could jeopardize America's reindustrialization efforts. The stakes for the economy, and for workers, are enormous. The Georgia raid has sparked unprecedented solidarity between American and South Korean auto unions. Once competitors, the United Auto Workers and Korean Metal Workers Union now collaborate, formalizing their alliance in July 2025. Both unions see the use of temporary, non-union labor as a corporate tactic to suppress wages and weaken worker power. In a joint statement, they condemned worker exploitation and called for international labor solidarity. Detained Korean workers in Georgia earned far less than their unionized counterparts in Korea, highlighting a global race to the bottom. The alliance allows unions to share strategies and pressure Hyundai on both sides of the Pacific. For the UAW, this partnership strengthens their organizing drive in the American South. The raid has united workers against a system that pits them against each other for corporate gain. The Hyundai raid marks a pivotal moment for America's economic future. Will Trump's mix of protectionism and immigration crackdowns bring back high-quality jobs or drive away the investment needed to create them? For foreign automakers, the risks of investing in the US have grown. A chilling effect could push capital to more predictable markets, undermining America's manufacturing revival. Alternatively, the crackdown could force companies to invest in American workers and training, building a stronger domestic base if the talent exists. The stakes are high. Jobs, consumer prices, and America's place in the global economy hang in the balance. The answer depends on whether the White House can balance its America First mandate with the realities of a globalized world. The world is watching to see which path the US will choose.